Saw dudes, I have finally tested Cyte-09 or Quincy Isaacs in level cap Void Cascade following my build video. Even though he is the newest frame, I was hesitant about his performance given his massive playstyle difference when compared to the rest of the Warframe cast. I was pretty happy with how the run turned out, and I hope to share some insight that might help you all, should you decide to bring the newest Deadeye into harder content. Let's get started. The build for Cyte-09 is similar to the one shown in my last video. Instead of growing power in the aura slot, I chose to use the new aura Worthy Camaraderie, which increases weak point damage for the whole squad by 75%. Truth be told, this is mostly for us, since Cyte-09 only really cares about headshots. Power Drift increases ability strength and reduces knockdown probability. Archon Continuity can allow us to place corrosive procs on enemies through a toxin buff neutralizer. Prime Flow increases energy reserves. Archon Stretch is mainly used for the energy buff when used with our companion and helps increase range alongside Augur Reach. Transient Fortitude raises ability strength for all abilities, whereas Precision Intensify only affects our 4. However, it nearly doubles our neutralizer damage, so the trade-off is worth it. Energy Nexus allows us to spam much more easily and keeps our energy reserves up between Externalizer rotations. Finally, Rolling Guard is our failsafe in case we run out of evade duration. The arcanes for this run were Molt Augmented and Arcane Rage. Molt Augmented is a straightforward ability strength steroid, boosting our outgoing damage with Neutralizer and increasing the weak point multiplier from Seek. Arcane Rage is a simple primary weapon damage increase that also affects Neutralizer and is procced on headshots. Since we're going for headshots anyways, this is a perfect match. The Archon Shard selection was varied. I had Tau 4 shards across the board and used 1 Crimson, 1 Emerald, 1 Amber, and 2 Violets. The Crimson was used to increase ability strength for a little extra damage. The Emerald raised the cap on corrosive stacks, shredding more armor and causing Neutralizer to hit harder, especially against Thrax units and Acolytes. The Amber Shard was mandatory, basically on all frames, at least for me, because it reduces long casting animations. Finally, the 2 Violet Shards were used to act as a mini equilibrium since spamming the Cold Grenade and Resupply gave me energy issues in prior runs. Feel free to swap these out for any other shards of your choice. Before covering the equipped weapons, let's go over Neutralizer quickly. I used a generic Hunter Munition setup with no elemental weighting. This is because we have Resupply, which has guaranteed status procs and scales very well with snipers. This setup, considering our companion, has a 9.6 times crit multiplier and guaranteed crits, making it lethal against anything that has a weak spot. As you'll see later, elemental choices play a big role in its effectiveness. I'll go over that in the discussion section. Primary weapon of choice was Acceltra Prime, simply because it could equip Amalgam's Duration for the extra sprint speed. The rest of the build is standard crit mods, Hunter Munitions, Rifle Elementalist, and a viral 60-60 combo. This gun was not used to kill enemies towards the end of the run, since it fell off super hard. It's purely for utility. Please feel free to use something else entirely in this slot. Knell Prime was my secondary weapon and another source of main damage aside from Neutralizer. This sniper pistol worked really well with Seek and was perfect for a frame that was cosplaying as Deadeye from DC. This gun takes Resupply's buff very well and applies it to all free shots after landing a headshot, essentially stacking up status faster than any other gun at any distance. The build used has the standard galvanized mods, Lethal Torrent for fire rate and multi-shot, Target Cracker for crit damage, and a corrosive heat combo to shred armor and provide damage over time. The Exilus mod, Steady Hands, is mandatory because this thing kicks like a mule. The melee weapon I chose to use was Okina Prime Incarnom for the extra movement speed on top of Acceltra Prime. The evolutions I used were Synergist Surety, Swordsman's Celerity, and Survivor's Edge. While Okina Prime is very strong, I only used it when enemies got too close. The point of this weapon, like Acceltra Prime, was to provide a movement speed bonus so that it could still move quickly while scoped in with Neutralizer. Praetos would also be a suitable option, but it lacks the freezing daggers that spawn on kill, which is a nice bonus for added safety. The Panzer build is the standard one I usually run as seen in my other showcases. Tenacious Bond and Reinforced Bond are mandatory. They affect crit damage and fire rate respectively, which affect Knell Prime and Neutralizer. Reinforced Bond is especially important for the application of status via Resupply, so be sure to use it. Tech Assault is a flex slot and can be swapped for any other mod of your choice. The Panzer Claw build is very similar to my other showcases. Instead of Protector Posture, we're using Balanced Posture since we don't want to apply Viral to enemies up close alone. We want to spread it out. Otherwise, the rest of the build remains the same. Shocking Claws drastically increases status chance and causes the claws to apply electric procs, granting us energy through Archon Stretch, which allows for more Neutralizer spam and stands enemies up straight for easier headshots. Bite increases crit chance enough to give us a crit damage bonus via Tenacious Bond. The rest of the mods increase the damage that the Panzer's attacks do and primes them for either Knell Prime or Neutralizer. As usual in Void Cascade, the focus school is Madurai. Void Strike and Void Fuel are purely for melting Thrax in emergencies. Just as a friendly reminder, Void Strike and Void Fuel do not work with Neutralizer. It's an exalted weapon, so it counts as an ability. Contamination Wave buffs outgoing operator damage, which again is used against Thrax units. Power Transfer reduces long casting animations and increases operator crit damage. Finally, we have Sling Strength for an ability strength steroid that's always available, which is useful for buffing both Seek and Resupply. The amp I used was the standard 147, or Certus Brace, Raplac Prism, and Fat Scaffold. This is my recommendation for all runs, so give it a try if you're okay with farming. I use Magus Cloud, Magus Lockdown, and Eternal Eradicate and Eternal Onslaught as my operator arcanes. Time to talk about the run. Cyte-09 is a very interesting case. He's not a slaughterhouse frame like the rest of the cast and relies on good positioning and kill prioritization. Seek requires you to be wary of its placement, otherwise it's fairly useless since it won't highlight any heads and generally isn't strong on its own. Resupply requires you to be somewhat knowledgeable of enemy elemental weaknesses, so selecting the wrong element would be a partial waste of energy. Evade is a skill check, requiring you to land headshot kills to extend its duration. Finally, Neutralizer is a sniper, which unlike a melee weapon, you can't use it to spin to win. Cyte-09 is a frame that epitomizes skill expression if you haven't already gotten the hint. That being said, he's still very strong, but I doubt I used him to the fullest, simply because I'm not used to him. Let's cover the pros. He's very fun. His sniper aesthetic, especially with the Gemini skin, is eye candy. It's nice to look at, and his kit fits the bill. Cyte has a great damage floor and ceiling, easily reaching millions of points of damage per shot with his exalted sniper. 3. He buffs equipped primaries and secondaries so much with resupply. Not only does it buff damage, it also has a guaranteed status proc that does not dilute the weapon's existing status pool. Also, since it can be any element besides Tau and Void, its versatility is insane. You can tailor your combat plan to each enemy. As you'll see in the footage, I used a mix of heat, corrosive, toxin, and magnetic damage. I was learning throughout the mission since I have a smooth brain. In any case, heat is good against fodder, so I use it accordingly. Corrosive makes headshots hit harder, especially for Neutralizer, so I use that to prolong the duration of evade. Toxin was good since it applies corrosive procs thanks to Archon continuity, so I'd use that when I was spamming the cold grenade for extra priming. Finally, magnetic damage increased the damage against enemies with overguard. All of these examples show how great the ability can be if used correctly. Now this is where it gets tricky. Despite what I said, Cyte-09 isn't the best in my eyes. His kit, while fun and high damage, is very hard to pull off in level cap. His damage doesn't fall off hard per se, but it hits a limit that other weapons can surpass without the need for ability chains or exalted shenanigans. This damage plateau is an issue because Evade, his main form of survivability, suffers because of it. Evade requires headshot kills, direct headshot kills. This means Hunter munitions cannot steal the kill. So once you hit about level 7000 and want the bleeds to kill, you have to dump another 2 bullets into the enemy to ensure the headshot takes the cake, wasting time and energy. I felt Evade became a hassle to keep up and just a general pain in the ass. Also, Neutralizer, if you haven't noticed, is not silent. It lets everyone know in the Zeraman that you're carrying something that the TSA would instantly confiscate. So while you are technically invisible, anything capable of hearing through bone conduction will shoot in your general direction. This is where my final complaint lies. Please, DE, give us an exile slot on Neutralizer. Exalted Blade has it, Desert Wind has it, don't do my boy dirty. Anyway, can I recommend Cyte-09? Yes, I can, but only if you want to work for the win. He's fun, and with a well-coordinated team, I can actually see him providing a lot of support. However, that's rare and honestly a bit too much work. He's a solid frame though, so don't let me change your opinion. I hope this video helped. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you for watching and happy farming. Stay safe.
subsiding.